You invest in your first restaurant. You said that was one of the biggest mistakes you've ever made.
Huge. Restaurants are hard business.
You had to file for bankruptcy.
The mountain of debt got way bigger than the cash flow.
So since then, you've been able to franchise 20 different concessions. You're on rise to do $100 million in revenue. What was that lesson that you learned, something that you would never do again or you wouldn't advise someone to do?
So many things, Randy. This is the first time I said this out loud, I think.
Welcome to Vault Empowers Talk. So we don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential change makers. I'm your host, Randy Harvey. But before I introduce my guest for today, I need you to go ahead and do me a favor. I need you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss your daily dose of inspiration and motivation. But without further ado, I get to introduce this amazing Hamptonian sitting next to me today. Randy Hazelton is a founding partner of H&H Hospitality, a firm that operates concession stands in major U.S. airports, including Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson, Washington, Dulles, and Dallas, Fort Worth. Founded in 2007, H&H owns over 20 franchises with nearly 100 employees. Since its conception, Randy has led the business development of H&H Hospitality, achieving continuous growth in food and beverage and expanding the company's business portfolio. H&H Hospitality is on track to rise to $100 million in revenue by 2025. Under Randy's leadership, H&H Hospitality has consistently achieved year-over-year growth as a multi-unit operator with a portfolio of local, regional, and nationally recognized brands. As a testament to his devotion to high standards, in 2017, the company received a Restaurant of the Year award in Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Hazelton has a distinctive approach to business, thought leadership, and problem solving. Randy believes there is no mystery to success. Lean in, do the work, and figure it out. Vault Empowers Talks welcome founder, builder, and seeker Randy Hazelton to the show.
Brandy, thank you so much for having me. That is quite an intro.
That is quite an intro.
I do all of that. But no, it is a real pleasure to be here with you. I really appreciate the invite.
I always say the interview happens before the interview. So we were learning that we were at Hampton at the same time.
Yeah, sure were. Yeah.
I had a short stint. My stint at Hampton was very, very short. I just did 2 years.
Yeah, but no, we claiming the 2 years.
Yeah.
You're still a Hamptonian in our eyes.
Yeah.
100%.
I can still come to the reunion.
That's right.
Yeah.
The homecomings, all of that.
I was Q5 quintessence.
Yeah. I was Onyx 5.
Onyx, yeah.
Onyx 5, yeah.
What was your dorm? Your freshman dorm?
So I stayed in Pierce.
Pierce.
Yeah. I actually went to Hampton on a presidential scholarship. So Pierce
you
was
smart.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah,
He's smart, y'all.
I mean, I figured the test game out. So they put me in Pierce.
Okay.
So I got lucky. We had like air conditioning. Like
right?
Back then that was like a luxury.
That was a real luxury.
An AC.
Yeah, because the female honors dorm was Kennedy, I believe.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
they had air conditioning. I was a Kelsey Hall resident, Kelsey Knockouts, which was like the next kind of like, but we didn't have no air. I don't think we had air.
Yeah, nah, I was living.
So, but you grew up. You're a military kid, so you've kind of been all over. Your father taught you discipline and adaptability. Your mom taught you security and stability. And created a wonderful home life for you guys. And they've been married for over 50 years.
Yeah, God bless them. God bless them. But yeah, I got lucky with those two. I really did.
Yeah. So family has really been the basis of your entire life.
I would say so. And as you mentioned, growing up military, we moved around a lot. So our external environment was always changing.
Yeah.
But what was steady was what was inside the home, and that was mom, dad, and brother.
Yeah.
And I could always depend and rely on that. So that was kind of the center of gravity for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So center of gravity, you leave Hampton, and then you start working in corporate America, and you realize very quickly that corporate was not your stick.
Couldn't stand it. It wasn't for me. Not made to work for anybody else. I wasn't attached to, and let me not, no shade, like corporate America is a fine place if it's for you. It really is about understanding what is for you and what is not.
Yeah.
And I learned between that environment, which was not at all of my making, the culture, which was not at all what I was used to, and then what the business of the company was, which was just nothing I was tied to. I just couldn't get comfortable there.
Yeah.
And I found myself over time thinking about, man, I'm spending a lot of time in a place that I'm not enjoying. Like, is this the way that I want my life to feel? And I just, it was not. I just wanted to do that. So I left.
You didn't want to do it, and so you left corporate. So for those people, because you were trying to find your way, but what industry were you in? Before you enter into hospitality, what industry were you in?
So in corporate America, I was in consumer packaged goods. They call it CPG, but products that you see in retail stores, in grocery, in malls, like that kind of thing. So I worked for a big food company that
You worked for General Mills, right?
Okay, well, let's just get into it then. I worked for General Mills. Man, you did your homework. So yeah, like the Wheaties people. So worked for them. You know, it's bad to say, man, I couldn't stand corporate American and we calling out the company. But it's not, again, it's about
it's
what
no
was
shade
a fit
to the
for
company.
me. You know, the company was fine, is what was fit for me. So I worked for General Mills when I first came out. And then I took a job at Kimberly-Clark. Here or just outside of Atlanta.
Paper products. Those were like paper products.
They sell like Huggies and Cottonelle and all that kind of stuff. So those were the two companies that I worked for before I left.
Wow. Yeah. So you're there for a number of years, and then you get this idea because you then kind of get bit by the real estate bug. Yeah. So you bought your first property.
I did. Well, when I came, so technically, I left Hampton and I moved to Philadelphia to work for General Mills, and I bought the home that I moved into out of college. So technically, that was my first property, but that wasn't like I wasn't doing it as an investment play or like an entrepreneurial play. It just kind of made sense to me. But after I got into corporate America, I started dabbling in real estate on the side because the market was hot, and then I hadn't been exposed to a lot of entrepreneurship, anything. But I'd always heard a lot about people investing in real estate and creating wealth through real estate. So that was just one of the things that I kind of knew that was just kind of floating in my mind. So I started dabbling in that on the side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you dibble and dabble in real estate. You invest in a property that kind of sets you up for your next move. Yeah.
Let me see. So I invested in a property like in an in-town neighborhood. And it was really almost like a teardown, you know, but I got it for really cheap. I got in there and I did some cosmetic works and like fixed some of the, plumbing, the basic stuff. And I sold it, and I never forgot me. It was the biggest check I had gotten to that point by a long shot. But I sold it and made a $77,000 profit. I was like, wait a minute. And like for me, like, that was like, oh, I'm rich.
Yeah.
And so I said, let me see if I can keep doing this. But that's kind of what got that bug going.
Yeah. And so you said, I'm going to invest in your first restaurant. Mm-hmm. This is 2007, right?
Yeah.
You invest in your first restaurant, $500,000 you invest with your homeboy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And y'all go get a shell of a business. Y'all the restaurant needs so much help, child. Yeah. And y'all done put all this cash into it. And you said that was one of the biggest mistakes you've ever made.
Huge. I mean, that's why you need mentors and friends and people that know more than you. But so I had bought and sold several pieces of real estate at that point. So I had stacked a little nest egg. And then had the bright idea to get into restaurants just because it seemed like something we could, intellectually like piece together. Like, you need a food, you need a manager, you need a nice space, you need, so we just thought we could figure that out. Not the way to go into it. But so took essentially all the cash that I had saved between working in corporate and then flipping real estate and put it into a building that was nothing in it. I mean, it was red clay floors, cinder block walls. There was no infrastructure, nothing. That was the dumb part. Because restaurants are hard business. And as a result of being hard, they go out of business all the time, which means there's oftentimes second generation restaurant space you can get into that has all the stuff that you won't have to pay for. We like, let's make it as difficult as possible. And so we found a building that was just about that. And that's what ended up costing $500,000 in 2007.
Yeah. Wow. I remember this restaurant. I remember y'all had the
Appreciate you.
rooftop. Yeah, it was like, oh, these two guys from Hampton.
I am here today because of you, Brandy. I want you to know that.
I am one of the key players
You
that planted
helped
a seed.
enable this.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. So you start this restaurant, which is actually still thriving today, but just it's changed hands a few times.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
And I think like the concept and what we had, we called ourselves casual fine dining at the time, and then lounging in the evening. I think it's gone more into the kind of the club type energy.
Yeah.
But I understand it's still. I haven't been there in a while, but I understand it's still. It's still popping.
Yeah. So you get out of that business. How long were you inside of this business?
I was in there for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, not just in there like owning it. I'm talking about like we were in the business. Like we were in the four walls working it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have another option.
Yeah.
We had no more money, and there were no safety nets.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole operating that was 5 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there was a moment when you had to file for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that because of the restaurant?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't say because of the restaurant. It was because of the decisions we made getting into and then operating the restaurant. We didn't have to go through bankruptcy. We went through bankruptcy because of what we didn't know. And what would have been a smarter and more prudent approach to launching a business. We just kind of, oh, we could do this. Let's just go open the doors. Let's just get it. And it was kind of reckless in a sense. I mean, we put quality where we knew to put it, but there were a lot more moving parts than we understood, and those got away from us. Yeah. Which means, money is just kind of seeping out of the business. And after a while, we had a mountain of debt because we had taken on debt to, fund things that we didn't budget for, and the mountain of debt got way bigger than the cash flow. And it was either, all of this can just go under, or we can wipe some of it through bankruptcy. And we decided to wipe it through bankruptcy.
So before you even get into this H&H Hospitality Group and all the success that you've had with franchises, I want you to really tell our audience, like, what was that lesson that you learned from going into this restaurant business and something that you would never do again or you wouldn't advise someone to do?
So many things, Randy. There's so many things that I wouldn't do. I mean, the first thing, and I say this often, is no matter whether it's restaurants or anything, I mean, you really have to understand what you're getting into before you get into it. I mean, there is almost nothing new under the sun. I mean, anything that one wants to do, someone has probably done or something similar to it. Like, study that. Study those people. Study that process. So that's what I would say first, is just like deeply understand what you're getting into. Because if you don't, you will make mistakes. And in business, mistakes cost money. And if you make too many of them, it'll put you out of business. That's essentially what happens. So do your homework. As it pertains to restaurants, outside of that, the big lesson there is I wouldn't get into first-generation space anymore. As I mentioned, there's so many opportunities to get into second-generation space where, like, they already got all the infrastructure. Like, electric is expensive. HVAC is expensive. Plumbing is expensive. Putting in grease traps, digging into the ground. That stuff costs, I mean, half of what we spent in the restaurant was on infrastructure, the stuff the customer doesn't even see. Yeah. You can cut out like half of that just by finding space that was already a restaurant. So as it pertains to restaurant, I would try to get ahead by getting into spaces that already kind of put you beyond starting at a base level.
Yeah. It's so interesting when you talk to somebody like yourself who has had a real tried and true method of this, because you see so many celebrities, as soon as they get some money, what's the first thing they go do? They want to go open a restaurant.
Yes.
This Atlanta, it's so many celebrity restaurants and so many things. What would you tell people to do or not do because of that?
Not. Don't open a restaurant. I don't know why. Why does I don't know if it's like an Illuminati thing, like to make it you gotta go through the restaurant phase. I don't know. But like I tell people all the time, the restaurant business is not a business to get into to be cool. Because it's hard. Yeah. And it's one of the highest failure rates of any industry you can get into. Yeah. And there's so many moving parts. And so it's one of those things where if you're going to get into it, it's like a baby. Like you don't do that part time if you're serious about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not serious about it, you can do it to be cool and have fun for a bit. But like a lot of the folks that have tried it, you fast forward 18, 24 months and it's something else.
Yeah.
So I feel so badly saying this, but most people that tell me they want to get into a restaurant, I tell them not to. Not because it's not a good industry to get into, but because my sense is that they're not in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see our folks fail. So if you're not in it for the right reasons, I would suggest doing something else. If you must do it, if you the new hot thing and like you got, the Illuminati, like, okay, it's your turn over the restaurant. Get people that are really about that restaurant game. And I'm serious. Like find managers, find team members, and I would even say put people on the ownership structure, that has that kind of seriousness about the business, because someone's going to have to. If you absolutely must do it, get people involved that are really in that in like a lifetime way, because it's just difficult business.
Yeah, it's a difficult business.
Yeah.
You said that, and I mean, and this is a stat that is true. The SBA says that 90% of franchises have a success rate. Yep. That's the success rate of franchises.
That's right.
And so that after your bankruptcy, after you have to close your doors or, will sell the company to other hands to run it, you start looking at these second generation businesses. You start looking at franchise and say, wait, this might be the road for me.
Correct. And so just so I'm clear, so the SBA says 65% of new businesses fail. There's an organization, and I hope I'm not misquoting this, the International Franchise Association, who gathers statistics on the franchise industry. They say that the franchise success rate is plus 90%. So I tell people all the time, listen, copy and paste.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Gotta be get the bag. And this statistic suggests that the bag is to be found where it's already been proven.
Yeah.
So just get something that works, that's close to what you would like for yourselves, just so that you're connected to it, and just copy and paste.
Yeah.
You save a lot of time. I mean, I didn't start making money until I did that. Not to say you can't, but I'm saying they have taken the time and done the study to work out the kinks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what franchising is about. It's folks that have figured out how to make money with a given brand, system, you name it, and fine tune it such that they can hand it off and other people can do the same thing.
Yeah. What's your first franchise? What was that first franchise?
So, first franchise, I bought a pizza shop in the airport.
Is that the Familia?
No, I bought that one too. That was the second one.
Look at
me, multiple acquisitions.
Okay,
Look at that. I had to hear that. I had to hear that come out of my own mouth.
Drop the receipts, Randy. Let's go.
No, so I ended up buying a store that was underperforming in the airport. It was a local concept.
And this is in Atlanta, Hartsfield.
This is in Atlanta, yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a local concept. They had a couple locations, streets out, we call it, but just regular around town kind of thing. I wouldn't call it a franchise, but they had a couple locations. I bought that and changed it over to like a traditional, American Chinese food spot. So that was the first franchise. It was a franchise that has like 100 stores nationally, but they sell your typical sesame chicken, General Tso chicken, that kind of thing. And I did that because there was avoided Chinese food on this concourse. And so I took the playbook. I ain't made Chinese food in my life, eating it, but but I didn't have to know how to do it. Why?
Yeah.
Because they give it all to you, the recipes and the whole deal. So we converted that to the Chinese food store, and revenues went up like almost threefold, and we were making money. I mean, the first year, it profited $1.2 million after losing money on a local concept. Again, it's just standard set Chinese food, but it was a company that had developed a system, figured out where to source the ingredients, get good costs on it. Here's your labor model, and just do this. And we just did that, and we just kept doing that.
So the thing that I think was so intriguing me about in researching you and preparing for today is that when you talk about the airport and why that really became your sweet spot is because you already have the built-in audience.
Yes.
They are stuck there. They in the airport.
Yep.
foot traffic there,
Got them.
just customers galore there.
Yeah.
And so that became your sweet spot. And I think that so often most people fail because they really aren't doing that type of research, the market, to say what's missing, what's needed. You said you were like, okay, they don't have Chinese food in this concourse. Yeah. And so since then, you've been able to franchise 20 different concessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I this is the first time I said this out loud, I think. We just closed a deal that took us to our 34th store.
Wow.
So I'm not saying 20 anymore. I'm saying 34 now. I just want to put that out. And I'm not I'm just, we just correcting the record is all.
I love this. I should have gone over this before I introed you.
No, this is brand new. You wouldn't have known this.
Okay.
No, you did your homework. That's not this is brand new.
34 locations.
Yeah, 34
34 franchises. And give the people really a look at your portfolio, because this runs the gamut.
Yeah, no,
you have so many different types of businesses.
Yeah. And so let me say kind of what makes up the various businesses we have. So the airport will say what type of businesses they want, whether it's local, regional, or national. So it's not all national franchise that we have. Sometimes they'll say, listen, we want a piece of Atlanta. Like, we want something that's in the neighborhood. Go get one of those. So we do have a couple of those. But the majority of ours are franchises because it's easy and it just works. But to answer your question, yeah, the mix is local, regional, and national. Everything from, international brands like Shake Shack down to what we would call more local brands like a Fresh to Order, for example, or Pascal's probably a better example. Yeah. But we got like a range of different businesses. Yeah.
So when people go in the Atlanta airport, give them some of we got the Shake Shack. Yeah. That's you. Yeah. Pascal's.
Yeah.
Soon as you come in, that's soon as you come in the airport, that's like the money spot.
Yeah. No,
get your food before you go to the gate.
Yeah, no, we're excited about it. So you mentioned we got the Shake Shack on Concourse B. In the center point you got a Fresh to Order. There's an Asian Child Gourmet Eatery. That's the Chinese food place that I bought. There's a Pascal's. There's a Sam Adams Brew Bar, and then a Roast Coffee. We have a Sweetwater 420, kind of also a brew bar down on the wing. We did a deal with Bobby Flay, the Iron Chef. Bobby's Burgers.
Love
out there.
Bobby Flay.
Yeah, we bought, he's a beast. We bought a Famous Familia pizza. That was the one you were mentioning. Hampton Homework. We got Freshens. We bought one of those. We're about to open a Lemonade, which is like a health food kind of bowl salad.
They have those in LAX.
We're bringing that here. Should be June.
Wow.
So anyway, we got a mix of things, and then we're gonna be bringing Slutty Vegan. Which
just dropping a few. Not much, just a few in the airport. Just clocking on us, Randy.
Nah, listen, I've been through the fire, so
yes, you have.
It took a while to get here, but I'm happy to be here. We're doing good.
You're on rise to do $100 million in revenue across your portfolio.
Yeah, that's what we are trending towards, and I'm insistent on meeting that.
Yeah, so insistent on meeting that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Slutty Vegan, which is Atlanta staple at this point. Yep. Now Pinky Cole is franchising across the country, along with her husband, Derek. And you've really been instrumental in helping to bridge that gap in the airport for them.
Yeah, I was able to be real helpful in getting them to the airport. Listen, Pinky created a brand, the likes of which we have never seen.
Right.
And the momentum and energy behind, out of Atlanta, we just never seen. So, she kind of earned that type of thrust to get into the airport. But I was able to help bridge from the street side to the airport. And I think it's going to be phenomenal. And it's also going to be a feel of our city. It's something out of Atlanta, born of Atlanta, with that kind of energy. And I just think it's going to be phenomenal. I'm really excited about it.
How difficult for the listeners, our listening audience, how difficult is it to even think about having a concession in the airport?
Very, very difficult for a bunch of different reasons. So one, it's really expensive to build out there. The material standards are a lot higher. I mean, this is a high volume environment, so you're not going in there with cheap or regular anything. Labor has to work off hours substantially at night, and that shift is a lot more expensive than the day shift because people like to be home in bed at night. So we pay more for labor. The logistics of getting in and out. Like, for example, when we build a place that has to have ventilation, and most restaurants do, if you're frying things or you have like a grill, all that smoke off that has to go through the ventilation. Well, the ventilation at Hartsfield in some places is 120 feet up on the roof.
Oh, wow.
So you have to build it. You had to build a ventilation from that concourse level up through the roof. That means in some instances, you're using a helicopter to fly materials to the top of the roof where the ventilation comes out to finish that work. So that costs money. I mean, that is a different. So it's really expensive out there. That's one. The second thing is it's a process, and it's a public process where if I want to open something on the street, I see a for lease or for sale sign, I can call the landlord, maybe work out a deal, and if I get the deal, we're kind of done. In the airport, it's a public bid, they call it, meaning the airport will put out what the opportunities are. They'll say, hey, we got 10 restaurant spaces that you can bid on to win. And to do that, you got to compile this. We need you to do renderings. We need to tell you what brand you're going to bring. We need to know your whole team background, why you guys are special, what your bonding capacity is, what your financial capacity. I mean, all of these things. And then you're competing in some instances, like in Atlanta, with companies literally from all over the world, because Atlanta's the busiest airport on the planet. So anyone in the business wants to be out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's tough. I mean, it's hard to rise to the top amid all of that. So it makes it much more difficult. And so, yeah, it can be done, but it is a much different exercise than opening a street side restaurant.
I mean, wow, my mind is blown, because these are things that you are not thinking about when you're thinking about these restaurants, these concessions that are opening in the airport. We just walk past and we just want to get our food before we get on the plane.
Yeah.
We're not thinking about all the moving parts that go into it. And then on top of that, the businesses that actually win the bid for that.
Yeah.
So really, really interesting, because you talked about in one of your interviews, also, we don't think about how small the space is that you have to operate. It's not a regular restaurant. You have a very small square footage. You're sometimes 500 square feet.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chinese food spot I was talking about, it was 550 square feet. And we doing a bunch, $4 million worth of sesame chicken in general. So
In 500 square feet.
500 square feet.
Wow.
So you learn to operate really efficiently. Because if you don't, you won't be able to do it. And you learn to manage inventory really. You got to have the product on hand to fulfill that amount of throughput.
Yeah.
That is a heavy inventory management exercise. So you get really good at operating because you have to. But it's a much more difficult environment. And it's funny, to your point, you're like, we walk to the airport, we don't really know what's behind the scenes or what it takes to get in here. So people often come to me and say, man, it's great what you're doing, put me in the airport. And I'm like, man, if it were as easy as just saying it, I would, and I do everything I can, but there is so much that goes into it. So if you want to compete in the airport concessions game, which I would encourage, you can't be impatient about it. It takes a while. For example, I first started talking to Pinky Cole about getting in the airport in 2017, 2018.
Wow.
It's 2024.
Wow.
And it's Pinky Cole.
Yeah.
So not to say that's everyone's story,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's a matter of timing and the right opportunity coming together at once.
Yeah. How important are the relationship building, building those relationships and connections? Because I would imagine you've got to have some political connections to be able to make some of those things happen.
Yeah, no, relationships are very important. And in business, if you want to do something at scale, relationships are important. This being a government kind of a public process means that the airport is run by the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta is run by its elected officials.
Yeah.
Its elected officials are beholden to the community. the electorate. And so their job is to help and support and empower the community. So it's important to be a part of that community wherever you sit, whatever city you live in, to be active.
Yeah.
Because these are the kind of people that our elected officials make it a point to hear out, to listen to kind of understand what's going on the ground level so that they can be more effective at their job. And all of that is a part of establishing relationships and building rapport and having lines of communication. So it's not like a, hey man, this is my boy, so he just gonna, it's a matter of being like active and engaged and participatory and doing good work.
Yeah.
The city, Atlanta's a proud city. And we like supporting those in particular that help make us proud. You look at a Pinky Cole who's setting the world on fire. Like, yeah, I want to support that.
Exactly.
So it is relationships, but it's more than that. It's engagement. It's doing good work. It's a bunch of things that kind of go into that.
You said best piece of advice that you never took was work in a restaurant for 30 days and work all the positions. Yeah. You never did that.
Never did it.
You wish you had.
Sure do.
So you knew exactly what you were getting into, because what people don't realize is all the moving parts that really go into running your franchise. Although it's plug and play, there are some things that you're going to have to know how to plug and some things you're going to know how to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'd say I just think back on those days and wonder like where my brain was. But yeah, I mean, that was the best advice I ever got and ever took. Things look so easy when you're standing from the outside looking in. Like, people probably assume you just woke up here. I mean, not looking at the work that goes into arriving where one is. We had the same thing. It's like we see people run restaurants. I can do that. Yeah. Not knowing all the mechanics, therein. And had I done that, I don't know if I'd be in restaurants, because it's not like it's not the sexy job, necessarily. I mean, you don't come across a lot of people that dream to, I don't know, be dropping fries like I was doing for the first, couple years of being in a restaurant, among other things. And so I say that to say, when you get in on the ground level and understand all the component parts, I mean, one, it'll either inform you as to what you may or may not want to do, or inform you as to what it will take to get to the point of success, because it's a bunch of little things done really, really well. Yeah. And I wish I had done that.
Yeah, a bunch of little things done really, really well.
Yeah.
Getting into franchise is not a small feat, because it does take some capital to do this. Yeah. So I do want you to talk about, because every franchise is not created equal.
Correct.
Yeah, there are levels to this. Mm-hmm. And so for those people listening and they are interested in getting into a franchise, is there like a baseline that they want to start at, or what's that number one thing that they have to have?
So, well, let me start by saying this. You can literally franchise just about any type of business you can think of. So when people hear franchise, most folks think restaurants, and that is the biggest bucket of franchise businesses. But franchises could be janitorial services. Franchises could be handyman services. Franchise could be trash removal services. I mean, there are a bunch of different types, which make for a bunch of different costs going in. Restaurants happen to be among the most expensive. Well, that's not even true, because you can franchise hotels and a bunch of things that cost millions and millions of dollars. But restaurants are on the higher side of the cost of getting into a franchise business. So I would say if you're starting out with less capital, let's say you're between 10 and 50,000, something like janitorial services, or as I mentioned, the handyman services might be more fitting. And if you have more capital, then you can look at something like restaurants. But so it depends. Again, this is a part of doing your homework and knowing what you have to work with. I would also say some franchise types are more demanding than others. Like, the restaurant's gonna take all of you. Like, Brandy, we want all of you, all your everything. Put it in this. That is restaurants. Other things are not as much. I came across a franchise that is literally cleaning and repairing the grout in between tiles, like that you might have in your kitchen. I know a franchisee that makes $350,000 a year off one territory as a grout repair franchisee. Much cheaper. You're dealing substantially with cleaning equipment. So that's an option to get in. So to your question of what do you need? What's one thing you need? The one thing you need to know is like what you had to work with to get in capital wise and time wise. And then I'll add to that. The second thing is like what kind of closer aligns with your interests? Because there's a business type for whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So I would try to understand those two things.
I've heard that like gyms are one of the easiest things to franchise. Is that true?
I cannot say from an informed position whether that is true or not. I mean, it seems as though it would be.
Yeah, because they said like you buy the equipment one time, you know, it's more of once you get the equipment, you really are just, you know, getting the foot traffic.
Yeah, I mean, that seems right too. I'd imagine the equipment's pretty expensive is one, so I imagine it'd be capital intensive. The other thing is that the fitness space to me seems very competitive. Like I'm seeing new fitness, everybody got a new, you know, something. And so that seems like it would make for a different kind of challenge.
Yeah.
But again, you know, do your homework.
Yeah.
You know, don't take my word for it. Do your homework. But it seems like operationally not as many moving parts as like restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the moving parts in your life are really, you know, they would seem to be very intense because you got a lot of different employees that you are managing. You have franchise concessions in Atlanta Hartsfield, Washington Dulles, and Dallas Fort Worth. So that would seem to me that your time is taken quite a bit in many different spaces. And so you talk about your routine and how important that is to your week. You sit down with your assistant a Monday morning and you kind of go through what your week looks like. But every day you have a ritual that you kind of stick by. Yeah,
I sure do. And it keeps me sane and probably keeps the world a little bit safer. Like, y'all don't want me out of my routine. It's not, and it's just, but no, so I like to get up early and get a jump on the day. So I wake up at 5 a.m. on most days.
This is like every multi-millionaire, what do they say? They get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
it's the 5 a.m. club.
You get so much more done in my experience. And then it's quiet on you, you know.
Yeah.
On the phone's not ringing as much, that kind of thing. So anyway, so I wake up 5 a.m. I go to the gym. And then I come back from the gym and then I shower and I meditate and I journal. And that kind of like gets me primed for the day. And it's just proven to help better enable me to take on all the things that are coming for the rest of the day. So I believe in like having a routine at the start of your day to kind of power you through it.
I totally believe it. Now, ladies, this is a black man journaling.
Come on, black man.
Come on, black man journaling.
Look at that. Hampton education.
This man is a true Hamptonian. So you journal. And so that leads me to believe that you, one, have done a lot of work in your personal development. Yeah. You know, I'm sure therapy or some sort of life coaching or some sort of coaching has played into that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of therapy. I mean, it's one
Lord,
of my
y'all,
favorite.
he do therapy and he journal. This is a black man, y'all.
Listen.
They look at your DMs about to be popping, Randy.
No, but I'm gonna tell you, I will. And here's another thing: my therapist's not gonna be happy with me today because I actually missed therapy to be here with you, Brandy, because it's so special. But no, I'm a big fan.
He's gonna rebook his appointment. Okay.
No, I am though. And I tell you too, I go twice a week.
Oh,
I
wow.
go twice a week to therapy.
That is so good.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, you got a lot to unpack.
Yeah, no, facts.
Seriously,
so,
you do.
It's a real thing. So like, I am like not bashful about that at all. And going to therapy doesn't require you having some traumatic experience or something like. I mean, and if you do, that's okay too. It's another reason to go.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, I go to therapy for the same reason I go to the gym. I'm trying to keep my whole being in shape.
Yeah.
The spirit, my mental. Like I think I'm doing well navigating this life thing, but that's just my opinion about myself. So like I get other qualified folks to help check the blind spots and tell me what I might want to consider. And it's just been very helpful. I've been doing it for 10 years.
That is so good.
Off and on, but mostly on. I'd say, you know, of the last 10 years, solidly 7 where I was routinely in therapy. And so that's been a big kind of life hack for me.
Yeah, my 2016 is when I got full
2016.
throttle.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
full
Good for
throttle.
you.
I did.
Okay.
Every week.
Yeah.
So I have not been going every week recently, and so I do
Okay.
kind of check-ins periodically.
Yeah.
But now I realize, and I just said this the other day, was like, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up it. You know what I'm saying? I had to, Randy.
See?
Okay. So I said, listen, this
knew
let
all
me
about
know.
that.
I was on a pre-production call talking too much. I said, I think I might need to call my therapist. I think I'm talking to y'all too much right now. Okay.
I know all about that. I know. I do it for. I mean, it's half for me. It's half for the world. So that I'm not out here, on people's heads. But no, it's no. I'm a big fan, man. I think everybody, if you can, do it. A lot of insurances will cover it. Insurance will cover it.
Yeah.
Or you can find therapists that take insurance. So there's, it doesn't have to be like a pocket killer, like some people think.
I love that because you are juggling many things. You're wearing so many hats.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it is a requirement because it gives you an opportunity to recalibrate yourself on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I mean, how like it feels like almost every phase of your life you think you have it figured out.
Oh.
And then you look back and like, what was I thinking? Like I thought when I got into this thing, I knew it. When I got into this relationship, like you always think you know it.
Yeah.
And then most of the time you look back like, man, I wish I would have known that. Why not get that in real time?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that therapy can help with.
Yeah.
It's like it smartens you up to the present and how to be more full in showing up to the present.
I love that. Being more full and showing up to the present. So with all the many hats that you wear, you are such a proud uncle.
Yes.
So your niece is like all over your Instagram page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's my favorite.
She's your
I
favorite?
don't care about nobody else. My niece. Sorry. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
But no,
so
I love her to death though.
So is family creating your own family on your radar?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying sure like dismissively. Like, yes. I mean, I'm the product of parents that have been married 52 years, and I think, did it pretty decently. You know what I mean? Like, home was a good place. Like, nothing was perfect, but like, it was a good place. Like, I want that.
Yeah.
But I want that. Like I don't want the.
So maybe that's the thing, Randy. Like we try to recreate that.
Yeah, I mean, and when I say that, I mean like a healthy, generally additive, and more happy dynamic than not. Short of that, like I enjoy my life, and I just want the things that come into it to be additive.
Yeah.
I haven't always made the right mistakes. I haven't always made the right decisions. I've missed out on some things, not knowing better, and tried some things that I should have known better than.
Yeah.
So I haven't always gotten it right. But no, that is something that I was kind of programmed towards. So,
yeah. Do you think it's hard in your position, a man who is in a position of power, a man who has multiple businesses, a lot of layers? Does that become difficult dating?
Does it become difficult dating?
This was not in my plan, Randy. I just want you to know.
It's a setup.
It was. The spirit got to moving, and I don't know what didn't happen.
Got Randy over here in the hot seat. Hot seat on this fine Tuesday. No. Is it difficult dating? Maybe. I mean, I don't know if I would say it is difficult. I mean, you got to be discerning.
Yeah.
I want the real thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, which has nothing to do with like worldly stuff. And so it requires discernment, but I think life done well does. So I don't know that it doesn't land on me like it's difficult. What I find is that, I don't know, I might be dating myself, but my values that were built on where I come from are not as much in supply in the current kind of culture of today.
In the dating economy.
I'm an old school, traditional black man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it seems like the culture is not.
Yeah.
It moves on different values, or at least it is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that could just be my own experience, but it seems to be more of the case than I remember it being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how important is faith? Because as you talk about family and all the things that are very important to you, it leads me to believe that faith has really got to be the cornerstone of what, the building block of your life.
Yeah, nah, it's everything. Like God is everything, and God is as real as it gets. I don't get caught up in what system of faith one chooses, as long as it works and it makes you and ideally the world around you better. But my relationship with God is just unimpeachable.
Yeah.
Like I just know it to be true, and that's like that also gives a kind of peace and confidence because I know He got me.
Yeah. One of the words you use to describe yourself, you say founder, builder, seeker.
Yeah.
And so what's one thing you're seeking in this season of your life?
Man, I'm always seeking just truth, like what the real is underneath whatever is before you. Like what is truth. I'm always seeking more knowledge. I just want to better understand, like myself and the world. I'm probably seeking like more of me. We're a whole world in this thing.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot I'm still figuring out. You know what I mean? 43 years old, I'm still in therapy. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how did I miss it? So I'm like learning in myself, seeking more of me. So I would say those few things for sure.
Wow. Okay. As we start to close out, I would love to know what you're committed to in this season, because with 34 concessions around the country, I'm sure you're goal driven and ambitious. I feel like there's a target number that you must have in your mind. So what are you committed to in this season?
Are you saying target number of restaurants?
Sure.
Actually, I don't really have a target number of restaurants. I want to max me out, as in like I want to try to pull as much of my potential out of me as I can. If I gotta get like, quantitative, I don't know, man. I've been thinking about the B more and more lately, like the billion, and like what it would take to get to a billion, and it's starting to become apparent to me. And so, I don't know, I chase those things. So now, like, my goal is, how do I get to $1 billion enterprise?
Yeah.
And so, I think I'm gonna be on a journey toward that.
Listen, you, Derek Hayes, Pinky, I think, you already got a trifecta.
Yeah, man, they some dope folks, man.
Listen, you're surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
And so I got to imagine that that's really important to you, your circle.
Oh, man, it's everything. Yeah, your circle becomes you, good or bad. So that's another thing. Seeking is like the right people, the right energy, the right spirit, the right knowledge, the right, just the right tribe.
Yeah.
Personal and professional.
You strike me as a person who, people might not know who you are when you come in the room. And I feel like people might try to cozy up to you a little bit more when they find out who you are.
Yeah, maybe so. It's weird. I'm a private person. I really am. I mean, I just started doing more, like getting out social media, even like podcasts and stuff like that, because I like it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like walk softly, carry a big stick, like Theodore Roosevelt used to say. But just behind the scenes, I find I have been more effective when you don't really know what's coming. By the time you figure out, it's too late. So yeah, but it's weird, I guess, having a little bit more exposure and the kind of energy that brings. And I'm okay with it. It's an adjustment.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. I got my discernment. And I'm here to help. Like I enjoy people and exchange and all of that. And if it feels good, I lean into it.
Yeah. If it feels good, you lean into it.
Yeah.
What feels good right now?
I mean, listen, man, I'm healthy. Like life is good.
On the rise to do 100 million in the next year.
Man, I know some phenomenal people. I got some great friends. I got an opportunity ahead of me. I got a family that loves me. Like, I woke up today. You know what I mean? I'm sitting across from Randy Harvey. Like, what you talking about? You were just like a legend back in the day in Hampton University. Now look at me sitting
Oh,
next to you.
listen, y'all don't even
made
know. I
it.
was telling Randy before the show. I said it was so many legends around Hampton about me and my sister. He was like, "Yeah, I heard y'all were there," and I was just like, "Yeah, you know what I heard? I heard that we was getting helicoptered off campus on the weekends, and the Air Force Base was." And I'm sitting up here like, "What? I wish I would have known." I told them. I said when I was on that Greyhound bus, listen, making all them stops all around Virginia, just trying to get to DC for the weekend. Listen, I wish I knew I had a helicopter waiting on me.
Yeah, man. I saw the helicopter. I saw y'all get. No, I'm kidding. No, but life is good, man.
Yeah.
Life is good.
All right, so as we close out, one word you're committed to in this season of your life.
Man, one word I'm committed to, I would say authenticity is what first came up. Like just living in my truth. Kind of going back to the truth thing. It just feels good.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a new thing. It's just something I just am increasingly intentional about in every space.
Yeah.
And just living in my truth.
Living in your truth.
Yeah.
Well, we did it in under an hour, Randy.
How about that, man?
Listen.
Why are you shortchanging me, Brand? I'm enjoying. I want to hang out. Why are you kicking me out? She kicking me out. I'm in the service industry. This doesn't feel very hospitable, Brandy. I'm gonna give you a review. I'm gonna get you a Yelp review. 2 stars. I'm just kidding. This is
I am cracking up. In real life. No,
this is fun.
I honestly was not trying to. Here's the thing, y'all. See,
Kicking me out.
now he gonna get me off script. Now you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna turn into Cleveland, Brandy. Okay, come on, Cleveland. So now, y'all. So Randy, before we said we had an hour, I said I got a good church clock over there that I try to stay to, and you said, "What are we doing? An hour?"
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like with all the smoke that Brandy said. It was like, an hour. I mean, like you put all this extra on it. I wanted it to be, 2 hours. But I was just observing the room is up. That's all.
I'm gonna give the people what they want, know.
Listen,
and that's it.
I'll hang out.
You gonna hang out?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we didn't talk about everything. We talked about your dating. You're not dating nobody. You out here. You got your niece online.
Dating.
Oh, you dating?
Man, I'm like, yeah, I'm dating.
Oh, okay. Now it comes out.
Like I'm dating.
Now it comes out.
I'm not like in a relationship.
Oh, okay.
But I'm dating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He's dating. Okay. Your DMs are open.
Okay. See, that's gonna be. What does this mean? I'm new to this, so y'all gotta. What are you doing to me right now?
This actually just took a turn. I don't know what just happened.
I don't know either.
It took a turn.
I don't know what's gonna happen. All this is new.
Yeah, it is for me too. Because I mean, honestly, I've never done this, but we can put your 800 number in the show notes if you are.
Let's not do that. I'm an open book, mostly.
Listen.
Let's not do that part.
Yeah. So I'm excited for all that is going on because I felt like, and I told you before we started, I was really excited to have this conversation with you because you're so intriguing. I see, like, as I really started to pull back the layers and do the deep dive on you, I was really interested because we really don't hear stories like yours that are really told very often about when we see these concessions in the airport, that this is some black men behind this.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And there are a few of us. I'm certainly not the only one. But there are a few of us, and I appreciate you being intentional about telling some of the less told stories. I mean, that's important, so people can see us in spaces that they're not used to seeing us, because we there.
Yes, I mean that is really the premise of the show. I'm so glad you picked up on that because that's really it. It's really to tell the stories, because it's so many layers to us. Yeah. It's so many layers. And if we are not the ones telling our stories, we will be written out of history.
That's a fact.
No one. And they will say that we were not here, that we did not exist, and we have to show and prove that living proof that we were here.
That's right.
That we mattered and we left our mark.
Yes, that is right. Or they will rewrite that thing.
Listen.
In their image. We've seen that before.
Listen, they'll be saying that there ain't no reason to tell your history.
Right.
Listen, you'll be down there fighting to have somebody tell your story.
Yeah.
And so I don't want that to be the case because I think that there's so many layers to us, you know, and oftentimes in the media, we only see one side of us, or we only see the athletes, we only see the entertainers, we only see now, of course, like the influencers who are kind of taking over spaces, but we really don't talk about the people who are leaving their mark on the business world that are making really, I mean, changing the trajectory of people's lives,
Yeah,
you
no, it's
know?
a fact. So I mean that when I say that. Like, I really do salute the work that you do, and doing it like tastefully. Not that, like, it's this. People do it, but
Listen,
also,
listen.
And so yeah, people need to see the images of us that make others want to dream and
Yeah,
aspire, and you are part of that.
yeah.
I mean, that's a really important work, Randy.
Listen, so I get to sit here with people like you. We got a few minutes left on the clock, but that's okay. I think we touched all
She
the
kicking
things.
me out. All right,
He'll be here for a while.
Wrap it up.
I feel like he's gonna stay around for a while. We'll get the after party. He'll join me on Vault Empowers Live on the Fireside app. That's what we'll have him. Where we'll have him join us. So y'all, it was my pleasure, Randy. Thank you so much for joining us, for your authenticity, for you being a seeker of truth, but you being a builder, a founder, and a wonderful, wonderful CEO of a great hospitality company. So I'm excited that you joined me today. Vault Empowers Talks. This was another good one. I'm your host, Brandy Harvey. Be sure to subscribe and share this with someone who you know needs to be inspired by this conversation. Until next time, eat well, give a damn, move your body every single day. Peace.